terminology. Okay. So really, you cannot see like individual lattice. Okay. So you have like a crystals, and so the lattice is present. But we are talking about the lattice that is which is present in the crystal only. That is in a real crystal only. Okay. So, but can you divide the crystal into like different lattices? That is not possible. Okay. So the lattice is the thing where you have like all the information about the protein structure, right? So the atomic arrangement, right? So adjacent atom, everything that is inside in the lattice only. Okay. So we cannot just divide like each of the crystal, this is first lattice, second lattice, intersection. No, you cannot say that, right? So it is like an imaginary construct to understand the real thing, right? So, we will see what is this lattice, what is the application of this construction of lattice, and then we have like one more terminology called like the reciprocal lattice. Okay. So what is this reciprocal lattice? So those things that we are going to see today. Okay. So before that, we will again recollect the things that we have seen in the last classes. So we saw that crystallization is done by slow evaporation method. That is true for the small molecule as well as for the macromolecules. So for the macromolecules especially, we have like different methods like sitting dot method, hanging dot method, and seeding method. And then for membrane protein, so separately like a different procedure. Okay. So here I have not talked about this seeding method, the crystallization achieved by seeding. So what is the seeding method? Okay. So you are trying to crystallize your protein by using a sitting drop as well as like a hanging drop, whatever. Okay. So sometimes the crystals, the protein will give you some crystals just like this, like a plate kind of crystals. Okay. It will be like a very thin crystal, or you may get like a needle crystal. Okay. So the needle crystal or the plate-like crystals is not going to help you anyway. Okay. So if you take these plate crystals or needle crystals to the beam, nothing will come out. Okay. So whatever you do, you play around the condition, whatever that you are getting this needle or a plate crystal, it will not grow up. Okay. So it will end like a huge number of plate crystals or a huge number of needle crystals. So in that, what you have to do? So what you can do is you can make use of these plate crystals or needle crystals as a seed. Okay. So for making a seed, you have to take like one or like two plate crystals or like some needle crystals. You have to crush. You have to manually crush the crystal. Okay. So the crystal is not visible in our eye. Then how can we crush the crystal? You have to do under the microscope. Okay. So you take the needle crystals into Eppendorf with a smaller amount of buffer. Okay. So if you take like too much buffer, it will dilute. Okay. So you take like smaller amount of buffer and transfer this crystal to that buffer and use like a glass needles. So under the microscope, using the glass needle, you have to poke the crystal and you have to crush it for a long time until you are getting like a very nice, minute crystalline objects. Okay. So once you are getting like crystalline objects, all right, so then you can make that solution, all right, as a seed. So in that solution, you will be having like thousands of microcrystals. So when you are doing the crystallization, okay, So you will put up your buffer, you will put your protein, everything as a normal crystallization method. Okay. So after doing this sitting drop and hanging drop method, maybe you can wait for 1 or 2 days. Okay. So during this 1 or 2 days, what will happen from the reservoir, right? So the protein solution, right? So I have to show you again. So you have the reservoir like this, right? So you have the reservoir and you have the cover slip. Okay. So here you have the buffer. So from the buffer, it will do the evaporation, and here you have the protein solution, right? So it will interact with the protein solution for like 1 or 2 days. Okay. So for 1 or 2 days, it will interact, and then what you will do is you will take off this cover slip, and you will have the protein solution here. And now you have in the ependop, you have the microcrystals, right? So you take like a cat whisker, right? Just dip into this microcrystalline solution. So just dip it for like once or twice. Then what you do is just make a streak on this drop. So what will happen? Once you make a streak, this is like micro whisker. So whatever the crystalline, the microcrystal that was stick to this cat whisker, it will be like spread throughout the drop. Alright, as a result, this will be acting as a seed, and in a couple of days, you will have like a larger crystal just like this. Alright, so people sometimes this will give like too much nucleation. So in that case, what you will do is once you dip into this crystalline solution, you can take like another solution where you have like only buffer. So no microcrystals here. Okay, only buffer, and you dig this cat whisker here so that the large amount of, if there is large amount of microcrystals in this, it will be going into this solution. So then after that, if you put into this crystallization drop, protein drop, the number of particles here will be very less, so that the nucleation will be like a limited amount. You will get like a bigger crystal. Okay. So this is like a basic idea behind the seeding method. Okay. So I told you like different factors that are playing around for making the crystallization, all these things that we discussed in last class. So assume like you have like a unit cell which is like the smallest unit, smallest repeating unit. Okay. So in this you will have like one or two molecules. So that unit will be like repeated throughout the crystal. Okay. So everywhere throughout the crystal, you will have like a same unit repeated so many times with same number of molecules. All right. So this is a periodic arrangement of molecules in great dimensions. That's what we saw in the previous classes. So again, like small molecule, what you have to do, macromolecule, what you have to do for doing the crystallization, all these things we have seen. Okay. So now we come back to this lattice. Okay. So assume like you have like an array of grid points, something like this. Okay. So if you make a line around these grid points, you will have like some intersecting lines here and there. Okay. So now you have the intersecting lines. You can make these array points with different origin as well, just like this, right? Or you can make this grid line into like a different format, right? So in a cross way, whatever way, all right? So whatever the thing, either you make like a grid like this, or in like a crosswire, whatever. So if you, in these three conditions, if you take like one point, it will be having like a equal environment around this. Okay. So each point here will be having like a equal environments, right? So grid lines drawn at equal distances making grid line intersection called lattice point in 2 dimension. Okay. So there are like three families of lattice planes in 2-dimensional plane, right? So as I told you here, like any way that you can make. So the crystal lattice can be thought of as an array of small boxes, okay, infinitely repeating in all 3-dimensional direction. So such a volume is called like a unit cell, which contains all the structural and symmetry information to build a macroscopic structure, okay, by means of translation. All right. So the crystal is like an imaginary. The crystal lattice is an imaginary object. So which is containing like a small boxes, which we call it as a unit cell. Okay. So you can think of like a 3-dimensional lattice where you have like a number of unit cells will be repeated throughout the lattice. Okay. So here you have the direction. Okay. So you can assume like a x-axis and y-axis and z-axis, right? In a z-axis. So all this that you can see, you can imagine. Okay. So you can say it as like a axis, b axis, c axis, whatever, and the angle between them, alpha, beta, gamma, is also definite, because when you see the crystal, you have the cell parameters. The cell parameter where you have the angle between like each axis. Okay, so you have the angles like alpha, beta, and gamma. So if you say the alpha angle, okay, so it is the alpha angle between B and C, the axis B and C. Okay, then angle beta is between A and C, and angle gamma between A and B. All right. So these like unit cells, okay, so they have like a definite cell parameters. All right. So lattice is an imaginary pattern of points in which every point has an equal environment. Okay. So it's identical to that of any other point in the pattern. So a lattice has no specific origin. Okay, it can be shifted parallel to itself because like each point is like the same, right? Each point is having equal, like identical environment. So the lattice must be described in terms of like 3-dimensional coordinates, okay, related to translation directions. Okay. So the lattice points, generally it is like denoted like Miller indices, lattice planes, and so on. Okay, and you have like 2 different lattices, something like this. So the distance between these lattices is called denoted with the letter D, which is called like a D spacing or interplanar spacing. Okay, so the distance between 2 lattices is denoted with letter T, is called like a interplanar spacing. Okay. So here, like you assume like a smaller unit cell. Okay. So here, like as I told you, like each point in the grid point in this unit cell will be having like an equal environment. So you can make like n number of planes. So if you think of like one plane in somewhere, so that will be all the information available in that plane will be available in some other plane also. Okay, so here you can think of like a plane 1. Okay, so where it is intersecting x-axis at a half distance, y-axis at a half distance, and z-axis at 1 unit translation. Okay, so I can say like half 1, which is intersecting on like x, y, z axis. Alright, so the intercept, the reciprocal of this intercept is called like a Miller indices. Okay, so this plane is indicated like 2, 2, 1. This is a Miller indices. Okay, so why we want to think about all these things? Because we are going to study the crystal where all these like idea will be utilized. Alright, so in the crystal also you have like a x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and there also we are going to see about like a plane. Okay, in the plane you are going to find out like a reflection. Okay, so the reflection which is denoted like HKL. Okay, so that's why we are learning all these things. So if real lattice planes had indices HKL, then these intercept would cut axis at distance from origin half h. Okay, in the x-axis it is h, y-axis it is k, and z-axis it is l. Alright, so half h, half k, 1 l. Okay, so then the indices will be 2h, 2k, and 2l. Okay, then what about the second plane? The second plane it is having intercept of like 1 by 4, 1/4, right? 1/4, and in y-axis again 1/4, and in z-axis it is half. Okay, so the reciprocal of this 4h, right? 4k and 2l. So the Miller indices for the second plane is this one, 4h, 4k, 2l. Okay, but here both planes are indifferent. Okay, both planes are having same information. All right. So Miller indices, it is helping us to designate lattice planes, to designate particular member of set, to designate the face of the macroscopic crystals. Okay. So here you can see like lattice notation. So origin is chosen like a 0, 0, 0. So you have like axis direction like A, B, C, right? So A, B, C like a unit length. Okay. So each is having some unit length. So here you can see like axes are, so these axes are shown in like square bracket. 1, 0, 0 A axis, 0, 1, 0 B axis, 0, 0, 1. It's a C axis. Okay. So lattice points here, it is shown without bracket. Okay. So 0, 0, 0, it's the origin lattice point. 1, 0, 0. Okay, is a lattice point which is making in the A axis with the unit length in the A 1, and B and C it is 0, 0. 0, 1, 0. So it is making unit length in only in B axis. A and Z is 0. Okay, so here it is 0, 0, 2. The unit length in the Z axis is 2. Okay, so here you can see 1, 1, 0. That means A and B is having unit length of 1, but Z axis it is 0. Alright, so likewise you can make like any denote like any lattice points, and then lattice planes like using Miller indices we can find out based on this like unit intercept just now we saw. Okay, so as I told you, assume like you have like a different lattices. All right, so the distance between these lattices is denoted like a D spacing or interplanar spacing. Okay, so here I have shown you an example of like image from the diffraction. Okay, so you are having the crystal and you are putting into the X-ray beam. Okay, once the crystal is diffracting, you will get spots just like this. So here and there you will get spots. So what is this point? What is this spots? So these spots are diffraction from the like pattern from your lattice points. Okay, so these lattice points are like converted into the diffraction pattern. Okay, so it is like a diffraction pattern. You do not know what is this, where from you got this, right? So somewhere you have like a brighter spots, somewhere you have like a light, very light, and you have like a faint spot. So how do we know this? So what is the x-axis here? What is the y-axis here? What is the z-axis here? We do not know this. Okay. But there is a mathematical formulation to convert these, and we can find out the like atomic position. Okay. So this is like a very basic thing. That's why I'm telling like limited information. Okay. So this is so whatever the lattice points that you are having, it will be having like a diffraction pattern just like this. So from this, you can find out basically like what is A axis, what is B axis, what is C axis, all those things. Okay. So the HKL denotes like a set of planes, and the square bracket denotes like a direction, and this parenthesis HKL, it is telling you the phases. Okay. So now you have like 100 for point group 1 means it will indicate only one phase. Okay. For 100 for point group -1 means it will include two phases, 100 and -100. It is not it will not be pronounced as -1. Instead, it will be pronounced as like 1 bar. Okay, 1 bar 00. So for like a set of reflection which is having like a 111, you will have this much number of phases. Okay. So here, so this is Röntgen, who discovered like X-ray. So all these things that we saw in the previous classes, and he was awarded like a Nobel Prize in 19th century. And then there is another Nobel laureate, it's called Max von Laue. Okay. So he introduced an idea that these X-rays can be used for diffraction measurement for the crystals. Okay, so he proved by mathematical calculation that X-ray can be utilized for the diffraction study for the crystals. So that's why he was awarded Nobel Prize. Okay. So there is equations called like a Laue's equation. So what is the Laue's equation? So we will see those equations at the end of this class today. And here, this fellow is called like a Lawrence Bragg. So he deduced an equation which is saying like n lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. Okay, so this equation, okay, according to this equation, he is treating diffraction as reflection. Okay, so you have the, here you can see. So you have the, right, you have the X-ray beam, you have the protein crystal. So the incident ray, which is hitting the crystal, right, the emitting ray, right, you are calling like a diffracted ray. It's not like emitter ray, it's a diffracted ray. Okay. So this diffraction he is considering as a reflection. Okay. And also the same equation is setting condition for a protein to diffract. Okay. So all these things that we will see in the following slides. So here, so mathematically we can derive this equation. N lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. So where n is the integer, lambda is the wavelength of X-rays, and d is, as I told you, the between adjacent planes in the lattice. Okay, and theta is the incident angle. Okay, incident angle of the X-ray beam, and also it can be utilized for the emitting angle or the diffracting angle. Okay, this it is denoted with same theta. So how to derive this equation? So here you can see. So here you have like a different set of planes, plane 1, 2, 3, and so on. Okay, so you have like a lattice points here and there everywhere. You have the lattice points. Now you are taking this crystal, right? So you are taking this crystal into the X-ray beam. So your X-ray is coming like this, right? So your X-ray is coming and hitting on the surface. So here is your crystal points, right? So you have the X-ray hitting on this point, and then it is going, emitting, right, from this point, right? So as a wave, it's going here, and then it is emitting wave, right? Just like that. I don't want to draw over on this because it will make like so much confusion. That's why I'm separately drawing here. Okay. So incident ray, which is a waveform, right? X-rays, which is in a waveform, that is hitting like each and every point, the lattice point, and then it will be emitted from the plane. Yes or no? Here, one important thing is, okay, the Bragg's law, what is it saying is one important condition. Okay, the X-ray waves should be in phase with each other. Okay, the incident and the emittent, okay, that should be in same phase. So that is called like a constructive interference. So if you have like a constructive interference, then you will have the diffraction. Okay, you will have the diffraction. If you have like a destructive interference, right, there will not be any diffraction. So how can I see whether they are in same phase? So first of all, consider this this wave, right? So it is coming and hitting this lattice point, and it is just emitted. And you take off this wave, this second wave. Okay, the second wave is going into another layer, another plane, right? And from here it is emitting. But so then you think of the another wave. Okay, so here again it is traveling deep into another plane, then it is emitted. Now the condition is all these waves should be in same phase. Is it possible? Here you can see, right? So this wave, it is traveling extra distance. It is traveling extra distance, and then again it is traveling extra distance. Yes or no? The path difference, right? Definitely there is a path difference for this and this one, right? Yes or no? So you have the path difference. So how can then I can achieve like all these waves into same phase, right? So Bragg's law can be derived using like a simple geometry by considering the distances traveled by two parallel X-rays reflecting from adjacent planes. So think of this like a two X-rays which is reflected from the adjacent planes. So here you can see the path difference. Okay, so AB and the BC. Okay, so now the n lambda. Okay, the X-ray hitting the lower plane must travel extra distance AB and BC to remain in phase. The first to remain in phase with the first X-rays, this distance must be a multiple of wavelength. That you can say it is a multiple of wavelength n lambda, which is equal to AB plus BC, or you can say 2AB. Okay, so here 2AB, it's a multiple of the order of multiple of wavelength. That's why then you can say they are in same phase, right? So the distance AB can be expressed in like interplanar spacing. You know, this is the distance which is denoted with letter D, right? So here you can see ABC, it's making a triangle, and here also it is making like a triangle, right? By means of applying like a trigonometry, we can say like, right, the D and the incident angle here, you can see this is a theta, and here also it is going to be the same theta, right? Now, because D is hypotenuse of this triangle, okay, angle ZAB, angle ZCB, right? So both here also it is theta, here also it's going to be theta only. So we know that sine is equal to, right, opposite divided by hypotenuse. So sine theta is equal to AB divided by D. Okay, so AB is equal to, or otherwise we can say AB is equal to D sine theta. So we know that AB, right, we can say n lambda. So n lambda is equal to 2D sine theta. So if any ray, if any X-ray, okay, obeying this condition, okay, or otherwise, if any X-ray satisfies this Bragg's law, you can say the diffraction will occur. All right. So here n lambda is equal to 2D sine theta. But if you look into this, sine theta, you can rewrite in this form, sine theta is equal to n lambda divided by 2D. So here theta and D, they are inversely related. They are reciprocal. So that means the smaller the value of D, diffract at higher angle, okay. So you need to have like a higher angle data, okay, which is like very important. If you have like a large D means you will have like a compressed diffraction pattern, okay. So here you can see like a diffraction from like a two adjacent like atoms, okay. So two adjacent lattice point, don't say like atom, it's a lattice point, okay. So you can see the diffraction pattern from here and diffraction pattern here from here, okay. So the individual diffraction pattern, the diffracted ray will be having the intensity of this, the red one, okay. Individual atom or like lattice points will be having intensity of this. The cumulative effect of both atom, both lattice points is indicated like this, okay. So you can see the cumulative effect will be like having like a higher intensity, right? So this is just like to understand how we are like interpreting like a intensity or like a reflection from the diffraction, okay. So you know like one-dimensional grating. So here in like one-dimensional grating, the object is normal, and you will get like a inverse image, right? So we obtain image which is reciprocal to the and to the normal object, okay. Reciprocal and normal to the object, that is we are getting from the like one-dimensional grating. So here, if D is less than lambda, then sine theta will become like a greater than 1, in which case the diffraction is not possible. And if D is greater than lambda, then diffraction beam will be too close to the direct beam to seen. Okay. So the spacing is reciprocally related, and it is normal to the line of grating or periodically spaced object. Okay. So in one or like a two-dimensional diffraction, specific geometrical condition is not required, but we are dealing with a crystal which is like a three-dimensional diffraction. So we need to have like a geometrical condition to find out the solution. Okay. So the crystals behave like a grating, so where the interplanar spacing is D, acts like a grating to produce the diffraction. So the interplanar spacing is similar to the wavelength of X-ray, okay, which is in the order of wavelength of X-rays. Okay. So that's why we are getting the diffraction. Okay. So now we have like some basic idea about like lattice, and now we are going into reciprocal lattice. So as I told you, theta and D, the interplanar spacing is having like a inverse relationship, reciprocal relationship. Okay, so the reciprocal lattice facilitates a direct. So if you think of a reciprocal lattice instead of direct lattice, if you think of reciprocal lattice, you will have the direct relation between theta and D. Yes or no? So in a crystal, there exists like many set of planes with different orientation and spacing. So these planes can cause like a diffraction. So in order to make like a reciprocal lattice, we can like theoretically we can make like a reciprocal construction. So in order to construction, so you have to follow these rules. Okay. So draw normal to all set of planes from a common origin. Okay. So this is the condition 1. Okay. Draw normal to all set of planes from a common origin, and then second is terminate at a distance of like 1 by DHKL. Okay. So from this origin, the set of points so determined constitutes the reciprocal lattice. So here you can see these are like a normal planes from a common origin. Okay. You can draw a normal. Okay. You terminate at like 1 by DHKL distance. Okay. For this lattice point 0, 1, you put like a star. And for 1, 1, you put like another line, and it is like a star. So all the reciprocal points that you have indicated here. Okay. So this set of planes indicates the reciprocal lattice. Okay. So normal lattice, you have like a parameters like A, B, right? B and C. So the reciprocal lattice points will be indicated with asterisk mark. Okay. A star, B star, C star. Okay. So A is equal to, you know that 1 by A star, because they are having inverse relation. Okay. So same is true for all the other axes. So these are like a reciprocal lattice. Okay. So this is just like a theoretical idea. So now we are going to see the formation of reciprocal lattice. So take direct lattice point, okay, 0 as origin, and let OA, okay, so this OA be a unit translation along x-axis in direct space. Okay. Then all planes having H index 0 will be parallel to OA, and their normals will lie in the plane perpendicular to OA through O. The trace of which is labeled as like a 0 star and 1 star, 2 star, and so on. Okay. By definition, the corresponding lattice points will also lie in like 0 star. Okay. So we can further show that all direct lattice planes with the x-intercept at A, that is with their H index 1, will have reciprocal lattice points lying in a plane 1 star, right? And then those x-intercept at OA by 2, H index 2, okay, will be having at reciprocal lattice point lying in like a 2 star, and so on. Okay. So now for a plane 1KL in this figure, okay. So in this figure for plane 1KL, okay. So what I am doing is for trying to find out D1KL. Okay. So D1KL, which will be equal to OA sine pi 1kl. Alright? Then OB will be is equal to 1 by d1kl, which is equal to 1 by OA sin pi 1kl, and del 1kl is equal to OB sin pi 1kl, which is equal to 1 by OA. Okay? So in same way, it can be shown that del 2kl is equal to 2 of 1 by OA, and you can do the same thing for like other orders. So in general, you can say del nk is equal to n of 1 by OA. Okay. So thus, like various reciprocal lattice points are like segregated according to the H indices into equally spaced parallel layers, so that these layers are perpendicular to the x-axis follows from the fact that the first 0 star must be. Okay. So thus in Bragg's law, the integer n is the order of like a particular reflection. So it is simply the number of wavelength difference in path length for rays reflected from successive planes. Okay. So here, like each point in the reciprocal lattice preserves the characteristics of the set of planes which it represents, and then its direction with respect to the origin represents the orientation of planes. Its distance from the origin represents the interplanar spacing of the planes. Okay. So assume you have like a crystal like this, and you have like an X-ray beam here, and it is hitting the crystal, and it is like diffracting. Okay, so around like a theta. Okay, so it's making an angle of theta, and it is diffracting. Okay, so around the angle of 2 theta, you will have the diffraction. So what is this 2 theta? So we will see that. Okay, so assume like you have like a if you have like a crystal, it means the crystal is made up of like several lattice points just like this. Okay, so whenever you have like a diffraction, you are recording these lattice points only, okay, as a reflection. So when you rotate the crystal, if you keep on rotating the crystal, okay, so when you do the data collection, you will be continuously rotating the crystal. So at a 0 degree, you will take one shot. At 0.5 degree, you will rotate 0.5 degree or 1 degree rotate. And then you take another shot. And again, you rotate another 1 degree. Now at a 2 degree, you are taking another photograph, right? So I assume like you have like at one angle and another angle, another angle. So you can see the lattice points. It's like continuously like tilting. So what does it mean? At each and every angle, you are rotating so that all the lattice information that you are going to record, right? So initially, I showed you X-ray film, right? In the X-ray film, this is like a entrance point, and if you are here, you have like an exit point, just to avoid the direct beam hitting the film. Okay, so usually the direct X-ray beam will be stopped hitting into the what the detector. Okay, so this is the exit. So once hitting the crystal, what you will see? So this is the crystal. So you will have the like diffraction in all direction, which you can see like a Debye cone. So it will form a cone of like different order. So 0 layer, first order, second order, and so on. Right? So here, if you open the film, so this film, if you open it, it will be looking like this. Right? So you can say this is like a 0 order, first order, second order, and so on. Right? So the relationship between direct lattice parameter and the reciprocal lattice parameters as I told you. So A, okay, so A star is equal to 1 by A, so B star equal to 1 by C, and so on. Okay. So V is the volume of the cell. So in the reciprocal V star, which is A star, B star, C star. Okay. So I told you like different lattice type, different crystal system is there. So this is for orthorhombic system and for monoclinic. Okay. So real axis A, B, C, and A star is equal to 1 by A sin beta, B star is equal to 1 by B, C star is equal to 1 by C sin beta. And you can see for triclinic, A star is equal to BC sin alpha divided by V, and so on. Okay. So don't worry about all these formula. You don't need to mug up. You don't need to think of to memorize this. Okay. Why I am showing is you should understand the relationship between direct lattice and reciprocal lattice points with respect to different crystal system. Okay. So here you can see the solid line indicates the direct cell. The hashed line is indicating the reciprocal cell. So this is the advantage. The direct lattice, you can see the cell, the reflection. Okay. So I will come to that point later on. So it will be looking like a very compressed form. Whereas in reciprocal, you can see itself like an enlarged form. So it is easier to have like a mathematical calculation. So that's why we are using the reciprocal lattice. That's why we are converting the relation, right? Theta and D, right? In the Bragg's law, theta and D is inversely related. In the reciprocal lattice, we are making like a direct relationship. Okay. So making like a reciprocal lattice, it's actually helping us to make a easier calculation. So now we come to the Lawes equation. Okay. So this Lawes equation again set a condition for the diffraction. Okay. So in a one-dimensional crystal with spacing A, okay. So the spacing A is the same thing, which is like a D. So far we used as a term like a D. Okay. So the same, you can say like a D. Don't make like confusion. So with spacing D, we can write that for constructive interference, the path difference. Okay. So which is equal to A cos alpha minus cos alpha 0. So here you can see. So this is the incident beam. Here is your lattice plane, and you have like a lattice points. So from this point, so it is bent, right? It is making, not going straight, right? So for it's going angle in is not equal to angle out. Okay. So this is the for constructive interference. Okay. So it is emitting angle. Okay. So P1 is equal to, you can say, A cos alpha 0 or D cos alpha 0. Then P2 is equal to A cos alpha. So what is the path difference? So the red one, whatever it is shown here, is a path difference, right? So that is, you can say like P2 minus P1 is equal to A of cos alpha minus cos alpha 0, which is order of the wavelength. We saw that already, h lambda. Okay. So if you have like a path difference, then you will have like constructive interference, and then you will have a reflection like this, as we saw like a Debye cone, like a 0 order, first order, second order, and so on. All right. So now we have like a 3 Lawes equation with respect to each axis. So A cos alpha minus cos alpha 0 is equal to h lambda. B cos beta minus cos beta 0 is equal to k lambda. C of cos gamma minus cos gamma 0 is equal to L lambda, where cos alpha 0, cos beta 0, cos gamma 0 are the direction cosines of the incident ray, and cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma are direction cosines from the reflected ray. So we must also satisfy cos square alpha 0 plus cos square beta 0 plus cos square gamma 0 is equal to 1, and then same cos square alpha, cos square beta, the summation is equal to 1. Okay, so now using the angle between the incident and reflected ray is like a 2 theta, which we can say like a cos 2 theta is equal to cos alpha into cos alpha 0 plus cos beta into cos beta 0 plus cos gamma into cos gamma 0. Okay. So now you square the Laplace equation. So take this, you square this. Okay. So h square lambda square, right? H square lambda square is equal to a square of cos alpha minus cos alpha 0 whole square, right? Cos alpha square. So you will have like completely square. So what I will do is take this a square divided and bring it here. So what will happen? H square lambda square divided by a square. Okay, and then this whole square I can rewrite like this: cos square alpha minus 2 cos alpha 0 plus cos square alpha 0. Okay, in similar way I can write the all the other equation. So from this I can take like commonly h square divided by a square plus k square divided by b square plus l square divided by c square whole into lambda square, which is equal to 1 minus 2 of entire thing plus 1. So this is based on, you have to you should know like a trigonometric like summation for this. Okay, so this is like based on the equation 3. You have like a 3 here, equation 3 here. You substitute this into here. Okay, so you will get this one. So the entire thing is equal to 2 of 1 minus cos 2 theta, which is like a 2 sine square theta, which is like 4 sine square theta. All right. So the result is lambda of whole thing, whole power half, which is like a square root, which is equal to 2 sine theta. Now, which is similar to Bragg's equation. Okay. So both Laplace condition and the Bragg's equation is setting a condition for in order to have the diffraction from the lattice point. Okay. So in physics, right? So in physics, the reciprocal lattice represents the Fourier transform of another lattice. Okay. So the reciprocal lattice is a Fourier transformation of like Bravais lattice or Dirac lattice. Okay. So here you can see the crystal will be in a Dirac space, right? So you will be having like a lattice points just like this. So how will you measure this, right? So it's like very like tedious calculation. But if you convert into reciprocal lattice, okay, so here you can see like adjacent point, you can have like a measurement, right? So easier to make a mathematical calculation, all right? So that's why we are thinking of like reciprocal lattice. In normal usage, the initial lattice is usually a periodic spatial function in a real space and is also known as a Dirac lattice. While the Dirac lattice exists in real space and is what one would commonly understand as a physical lattice, the reciprocal lattice exists in a reciprocal space. Okay, so the reciprocal of a reciprocal lattice is Dirac lattice. So since the two are like Fourier transform like each other, okay, so that's why in the like once you get the data, we will be using the Fourier transformation. We will do the Fourier calculation and we will be able to find out the electron density. All right. So okay, so almost we have seen motifs like crystal lattice and reciprocal lattice, and we have to see the Bragg's law in reciprocal lattice. So we saw the Bragg's law, and same thing we have to see in reciprocal lattice. How to derive the Bragg's law from the reciprocal lattice. Then we have to see like a sphere of reflection. Okay. So maybe we will see that in another class. So we have next class on Thursday, right?
Yes, sir.
So can we have like one more class tomorrow? Do you have like a timing tomorrow?
No, sir. We have completely booked tomorrow. No free slot available, sir.
So who is taking next hour?
Sir, Morgan, sir.
So today 5 to 6 it is free, right? 2 to 3 also is free. So 2 to 3 who is taking? Okay, so 5 to 6 who is taking again? Okay. So 4 to 5 Suresh sir is taking. Why? No, it is mathematical sciences, right? Okay, but 3 to 4 it is assumed to be like a VMDA, right? So Archana is taking 3 to 4, huh? Archana or Suresh Kumar? So tomorrow first hour, Suresh Kumar. Okay. Okay, so maybe I will take tomorrow first hour. Alright? So Friday we have internal test. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tomorrow I will take the first hour, and Thursday also we will have a like first hour. Okay. Okay, guys. Yeah, see you then. Bye.
Thank you, sir.